Hello, fellow introverts, and welcome back to the Introverts Haven. My name is Megan, and welcome back to my library. You guys, I'm just going to jump right into this. I have so many books that I have bought or acquired or have come in subscription boxes or whatnot in the last few weeks, and we have a lot to cover. I have everything from mystery thrillers to a little bit of historical fiction, toss in some fantasy, some contemporary, romances, and probably some others that I'm forgetting about right now. But the point is, there are a ton of books and a ton of genres. I'm also super excited because I don't know if I just found out about it or they've had it and I just haven't realized and taken advantage, but work is basically telling us that they will reimburse us for books. I'm about to bankrupt this company, y'all. If they did not have a limit on how many I could buy, I could easily bankrupt this company. But alas, there is a limit. Regardless, it's still money that I don't have to spend out of my own budget. So that's always a plus. And because me and my fiance work for the same company, that limit is actually doubled. So all of these books, in my mind, they're free because I might have to front the money, but work will pay them back. Basically, this is just a way of saying, go ahead and look at what your company offers, because if they've been offering this for the last 3 years that I've been there, 3 years, 4 years, either way, if they've been offering this for years and I just did not realize it, that's a lot of money. That money would have added up over the years. I could have used that. Dang. Don't be like me. Check to see what your companies actually have and use. A lot of time, for the record, they are not always going to promote these things. So go searching for it. If you've got 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and you've got nothing going on at work, do yourself a solid and look at what is available. Because if you're like me and sit here and go, wow, I could have had $300 that they'll reimburse for books per year, but multiply that by 2 because of my fiance, and then multiply that for the last few years. Y'all, I've been sitting on this. I have been sitting on literal free books. What is wrong with me? So without further ado, let me tell you about all of the books that work bought for me. Okay, so the first stack that I have is mystery thrillers. Kicking off this book haul is The Coworker by Frieda McFadden. I will put out anything that this woman writes at this point, and I've actually made it my new goal. Maybe not by the end of the year, maybe next year, I don't know. I need to own every book that this woman has written, and I need to keep them all. And specifically, I need to try my best not to just rip through them all, because getting out of a reading slump, she's the best one to do it. Her books read so quick, and I am so excited for this one. This book is following 2 women, Dawn and Natalie. So picture this, the coworker that is just not well liked. She says the wrong thing all the damn time. She's probably pretty annoying, doesn't have a lot of friends, like just doesn't fit in well, okay? That is Dawn. And then we enter Natalie, and Natalie is the top sales representative for this vitamin company, and she is just killing it at work. They're not friends, but Natalie does notice when Dawn doesn't show up to work one day because that's very out of character for her. She's not friends with her. She just notices that she's not there. Until Natalie gets a phone call that is described as unsettling. And now Natalie knows that somebody hated Dawn enough that they decided that they needed to kill her. And so it leaves her in this like cat and mouse situation of, oh my God, somebody really did it. Somebody really took out the annoying girl. And now I know about it. And now I'm stuck in this weird conundrum. What did Dawn do? What did Dawn do? Like, Dawn was that annoying that she had to go? Or did Dawn know something she shouldn't have known? Or did she get involved in something she shouldn't have known? Like I said, we probably won't know until the last page, because that is typical Frieda McFadden behavior, and I live for it and I love it. But one thing's for sure, apparently Dawn had to go, and we're gonna find out why. Next up, we have One of Us is Dead by Jeneva Rose. So I am quickly becoming a really big fan of this author as well. I know she's super popular, and guys, there's a good reason for it. Her books are phenomenal. I'm actually currently in the middle of Home is Where the Bodies Are, and I am loving it. It is so good. The 90s vibes are unchecked. But alas, we're not talking about that one. We're talking about this one. So One of Us is Dead is following a ritzy town where it is important to have the right clothes, to have the right cars, for your kids to go to the right schools, and of course, to go to the right hair salon. Enter Jenny, and she is the owner of an exclusive hair salon that is like a membership only type salon. And she gets to hear all about the town gossip. She gets to hear all about this rich people drama, and there's all about the skeletons in everybody's closet as they're coming to get their hair done. But Jenny is she's just trying to run her business. Like, she's not trying to get into the middle of this drama. She hears about it, but she just really has her nose to the grindstone and is just trying to run her business at this point. However, one of Jenny's clients ends up murdered. And because she hears all of the town's gossip, she might know a thing or two about why that is, and maybe has an idea about who might have done this murder. And she decides that she is going to help the police solve the case of her client's death. And I can't wait. Like, hair salons, my best friend works in a hair salon, right? And the amount of drama that you hear is crazy. And the things that clients tell you, I've heard, are just also crazy. So I cannot wait to dive into this one. You guys know I am a rich people drama obsessor. I don't know why. It's so interesting to me. And I do have other rich people drama books coming later in this haul, but this is the only mystery thriller. Also, if you have never seen Jeneva Rose's TikTok videos of her like sneaking into different areas where her books are being sold, like Target and Barnes & Noble and everything, to secretly go sign them, go check her TikTok. Like, the woman is hilarious, and I live not just for her books, but her personality as well. She's an author I do love to support. We have Count My Lies by Sophie Stava. I have never read anything by this author before. So this book is following, let me double check her name, Sloane. And Sloane's a pathological liar. She lies about every little thing. You know that you've met somebody like this in your life, at least at some point. And one day she's in the park and ends up coming across a little girl who has just been stung by a bee. And she decides that she's going to help her. And when her wealthy father comes over and expresses his thanks, she tells him that she's a nurse and she's happy to help. Is she really a nurse? No. Who is she really? No, I don't know. And I don't think that we will know, because again, she is a pathological liar. So she ends up being hired on as this little girl's nanny and brought into this couple's home. However, this couple has a lot to hide, and there's a lot of things going on behind those closed doors. And again, more rich people drama. I live for it. Mix in a little bit of pathological liar, and I'm interested to see where this story is going to go. Next up is The God of the Woods by Liz Moore. This is a really pretty edition that Book of the Month sent me with the sprayed edges. Oh my God, I love a sprayed edge. Obviously not sponsored because I have 15 followers. But if you guys don't have Book of the Month, they are so great. They basically hold a favorite of the year voting situation, and this was voted the favorite book of 2024, and they sent this to me for nothing, along with I had picked this as my book of the month, and then they just threw this one in for nothing. And then they even just threw in, because April is my birth month, they threw me another free book. So genuinely, if you don't have them, I would highly recommend them. And just because they give you so much free stuff, it gets to your door so quick. and I've never had an issue with them. They've been great. And I've found so many books and genres and authors through them. I really, really adore them. This book takes place back in the 1970s at a summer camp. So I will probably save this for the summertime because summer camp vibes for summer are just perfect. A camp counselor at this summer camp notices that one little girl's bunk is missing, but this is not just any little girl. This is the owner of the camp's daughter, and she is missing, and a huge search is under place, and they are trying to figure out what happened to her. Now, this is also important because her older brother also went to this summer camp and also went missing 14 years earlier. And so they are just trying to figure out what is going on at this camp and why are these kids in this family being targeted? And also, can you imagine, like, you send your kids to this camp that you own and like they go missing at your own camp, like multiple of your children? I would lose my mind. I can't even imagine. But maybe the parents are involved. I don't know. We shall see. But it's a gorgeous edition, and I cannot wait to read this during the summertime. It is thick. Like, I'm surprised by how thick this is. But it has to be good if it was voted like the best book of the year for book of the month. So I'm definitely going to read it this summer, and I cannot wait to tell you guys all about it. Next up is my small little stack of contemporaries. Off, the first one is The Griffin Sisters' Greatest Hits by Jeneva Weiner. And I am so excited for this book. I almost actually picked this one up before the book that I'm currently reading because I'm so excited about it. This book is following two sisters who just explode in the music industry back in the early 2000s. We're talking like MTV and Rolling Stone and like all the big major music industry standards. They flash forward years later, one of the sisters is living off grid and then the other one is like a housewife. And the housewife's daughter is very interested in her mother's past and her aunt, and she wants to figure out like all about them. Why did they split up? What happened? And so she goes digging into the reasons why. And I'm sure she will find them, and I am also intrigued. This will probably be the next book that I read because the music industry books are phenomenal, and like early 2000s pop was definitely my jam. And keeping with the rich people drama, up next is The Husbands by Chandler Baker. And this book is following a very successful attorney who, although she works very hard and is successful, she feels like the burden of life is just kind of all on her. On top of being this high-powered attorney, she's also having to keep everything straight at home. And she feels like her husband just is not being helpful. He is not helping her the way that she really needs him to show up and the way that she needs him to be there. And she's frustrated and resentful because it's like, why does she have to carry all of this responsibility on her shoulders? And why does she feel like she is the one who is doing so much of this work while he gets to just reap the benefits a little bit? And so they end up moving to this new, or I don't know if they actually move. They go house hunting. So whether or not they buy or not, we shall see. But she ends up house hunting in this really exclusive, wonderful neighborhood. And it seems like the women in this neighborhood's husbands are all helpful, that they are not having to shoulder so much of the responsibility of running both a career and a household. I should probably say the attorney's name is Nora. And so Nora is sitting there like, what are these women doing? How is it that all of these women get their husbands to be so helpful, but yet I can't get mine to do anything? But then there is a wrongful death suit that is brought against one of the residents in this town. And so Nora goes and basically tries to help out with the case. But on top of helping out with the case, it gives her a deeper dive into what really is going on behind closed doors. And are the husbands really as helpful as they're appearing to be, or is appearing that way more important to these people than the truth? Again, rich people drama. I soak it up. And I've never heard of this book before, but it did get like a good Morning America Book Club pick, so I'm here for it. Bright Years by Sarah Damoff. Also another author that I have never heard of before, but a free copy from Book of the Month, so I'm definitely not going to turn down a free book. This book is following a small family. So the parents are Ryan and Lillian. They are newly married, and unfortunately they do have some things in their past that kind of come up to haunt them that also are kind of impacting the present. So Ryan is suffering from alcoholism, and Lillian is struggling with the fact that she previously gave a baby up for adoption years ago and just never really told anybody from the sounds of it, if I gathered that correctly. And they end up having a baby together, Georgette. And Georgette is growing up seeing a really dysfunctional relationship between these two, and so Georgette basically is confronting some of the past of her family and is trying to decide what she wants to do about bringing everybody back together or not. I'm not 100% sure exactly where the story is supposed to go, but I think it's just kind of exploring the dynamics of what these secrets do and what happens when kind of some of the skeletons come out of the closet. So we shall see. And the lone wolf in the horror section, I think this is technically classified as a horror. Although I will say, I feel like this is going to be like a light horror, because I can't do like super, super scary things like Stephen King. Forget it. I can't handle that. But just a little bit of light horror and gothic elements I can handle. So in comes The Year of the Witching by Alexis Henderson. Now I read House of Hunger last year, and the writing was some of the most beautiful writing that I have ever read. And just the messages behind that book I found to be really, really beautiful. And that's what I really like about Alexis Henderson's writing. This book is following Emmanuel, and she lives in a very rigid religious society where women are kind of second-class citizens and the word of God is law. They do not allow anything outside of that. So things like witchcraft and whatnot are like punishable by death. And so she does the best that she can in this society, but she's already an outcast because her mother ended up having her with somebody of a different race. And so she's always been just kind of looked down upon, despite doing the best that she can to live within this very rigid religious society. One day she ends up going into these woods, and the woods are forbidden. It was said in her community that years ago these witches were chased down into the woods and they were killed by the prophet, and he was hailed as this hero for chasing these witches down. But when she goes into the woods, she ends up getting her mother's journal from the witches that were killed. And I don't know if they're spirits, or I think it's a spirit situation, but she ends up getting this journal and gets a lot of answers. And it raises a lot of concern about how she's viewing the world that she grew up in. At first, she really struggles with how her mother could even get to be involved with these witches to begin with. But the more that she learns, the more that she sees kind of the darkness within the church and within the society that she grew up in, and that maybe this society is really built on the oppression of women, and that the witches aren't necessarily as evil as they are led on to be. I love the idea of witchcraft, and like just really strong feminine novels just get me. I don't know. I read Wayward last year or the year before. I don't remember what year it was. But I've been super drawn to these kinds of books lately, so I have no doubt this is going to be amazing. I'm questioning if I should save this one for like the fall, because it has really strong fall vibes, like Salem-y vibes. And so I'm not sure when I'm going to get to this, but I am going to get to this at some point. And then I have the stack of romance novels. I can't remember which number in the Bridgerton series this is, but I'm trying to read all of them before I watch any of the series, because I don't dare watch the series and have something from the books ruined, because I'd be so disappointed. But I also really love to save the Bridgerton books for the spring, because I just feel like it's just quintessential Regency romance. It's just, it's just so spring-like. And so I saved these. So I actually have one book ahead of this one, but I don't know if other people are like this. I like to have a book ahead of the next one so that if the one that I'm reading is so good and I'm in a super good mood, I can just grab the next one to go along with it in the series. So I can't remember which this is following. I mean, it's Francesca, but I don't remember like the details of her story. Let's see. So it sounds like Francesca's story is going to circle around her and a man named Michael. And Michael is what they call a rake in this series, or a player in today's times. And he just does not want to settle down with anybody until he sees Francesca. And it basically is the moment where he's like, whoa, I need to be with this girl. I need to get with this girl. And so he falls really, really hard and really, really fastly in love with her. And it sounds like Francesca likes Michael, like as a friend, like he's friend zoned, but he obviously is like madly in love with her now and is trying to convince her to be more than just a friend. I have read, I think 4 of the Bridgerton books, and they have not, like every single one has been fantastic. I think the one I have before this is Eloise's story, and I'm definitely going to read that this spring. I might get to this one too this spring. If not, this is for next year. But again, I like to have a couple in the series just on my shelves ready to go. That way I'm a wicked mood reader and I want to be able to just like reach for them if I'm in the mood for them. I will definitely get to this. It's just a matter of when. Like, you know, all of the books in this massive stack. Next up is A Novel Love Story by Ashley Poston. I have seen very mixed reviews of this book, and I have a lot of hope going into it despite the mixed reviews, because the concept is so strong that I really hope that I'm one of the ones who just ends up loving it. But this book is following Elsie, and Elsie is a lover of books, and she decides that she is going to go on this book retreat for the year. Why do these exist in real life? Because I need to go to a book retreat. Anyway, so she ends up going to this book retreat, and on the way there, her car ends up breaking down and she ends up in her literal favorite story. So she gets to go to all the places that she's been reading about. I believe that there's like a cafe, and she gets to interact with the characters that she loves so much. But then she ends up meeting somebody who does not belong in the story, and she's never met him before. And he's very grouchy and he's very brooding, and he does not want her to finish the book. And I'm not sure where it's going to go from there. Obviously, it's a love story, so I'm sure this brooding character and her are going to fall in love. But I really hope I end up loving it, because this is such a cool concept. I read something with a very similar concept back when I was, I don't know, 19 or so. What was the name of that book? I think it was Off the Page by Jodi Picoult, and I thought it was a really cool concept and it was executed decently. So I'm also really hopeful for this one that it's just going to be done well. Hopefully. We'll see. Next up is Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. Also, note, look at these edges. Did I partially buy this book because of these edges? Yes, I regret nothing. And if you want a copy, I got this one at Books A Million, but I'm sure like Barnes & Noble has it as well. So I've never read Ali Hazelwood before, but I've heard she is absolutely fantastic and everybody loves her books. So this is her newest one, Deep End. And this is following a competitive, I believe, a diver and an ace swimmer. I'm not sure what an ace swimmer is that just like regular swimming? I don't know. And that sounds awful because I used to swim when I was in high school. But they end up meeting and they are both very, very competitive, very focused on their sport. But they end up, you guessed it, getting into a very steamy, from what I've heard, romance. And from what I understand, this is supposed to be like a very temporary, just let off steam type situation, but grows into maybe something more. I don't know when. Again, I'm wondering if maybe this is a good summer one for me. Don't know, which is funny because swimming is like a winter sport. But I don't know, I just get very summery vibes off of this. And so I might save this one specifically for the summertime. I've heard really, really good things about this one, and everybody needs a good steamy book here and there. So can't wait to dive into it, no pun intended, and see how Ali Hazelwood is, because it'll be my first trip with her. And the last stack is all fantasies. The first up is Kingdom of Locks by Deborah Grace White. I have never heard of this. It randomly popped up on like a Facebook feed one day, and I was like, what is that? And it is a Rapunzel retelling. And I also did not realize when I bought this book that apparently this is a 5th one in the series. It does say that it's a standalone. It can work as a standalone. So I'm hoping that it will not disrupt anything if I start with this one, because Rapunzel is one of my absolute favorite Disney princesses. She is not called Rapunzel in this book. She is Ariella, and she was stolen as a baby, and she was locked in a tower. And while she was there, she was locked in with a woman who's the closest thing to a mother that she has ever known. Her hair holds the magic, just like it does in the Rapunzel story. And then enter Prince Amel. He decides that he is going to join a manhunt for these illegal magicians, so to speak, who hold all kinds of magic. And while he is on this manhunt, he comes across Ariella, but this magic that is binding her to this tower and within her hair is unlike anything that he has ever witnessed in his life. I'm sure, just like in the Rapunzel story, they will fall in love and they will find a way to break this curse. I absolutely love fairy tale retellings as long as they are done well. I have been disappointed in the past where I have picked some up and they just haven't hit well. So this is an author I've never heard of, and I'm hoping that it is going to be incredible, because this is also very quintessential spring to me, like fairy tale retellings and princes and princesses, and you just can't get any more spring-like than that to me. And I'm hoping to get to this book sometime this spring. Next up is The Green Teeth by Molly O'Neill. I have never heard of this book before. I literally just stumbled across it at the bookstore and was like, wow, that's a really intriguing idea. So there is a monster that they call Jenny Greenteeth. And apparently she kills whatever is thrown into this lake. But one day a witch is thrown into, she is going to save her. She finds out that the reason that she was thrown into this lake is because a religious leader threw her in, or had her thrown in. Again, a very feminist themed novel of religion kind of tampering down on women's rights and just kind of exploring those concepts and what happens when women decide that they're going to fight back, or in this case, a monster named Greenteeth who lives in the lake. They're describing it as a cozy fantasy. I would not correlate cozy fantasy with throwing people into the lake to be eaten, but I'm interested. Next is Rebel Witch by Kristen Ciccarelli. This is the second book in the Crimson Moth series. So this book is following a witch and a witch hunter who end up falling in love with each other. And it's hard for me to talk too much about what this book is about without ruining the first book for you. But essentially, they end up falling in love, and they're both kind of struggling with that. So they're both kind of fighting this passion for each other because neither one should want the other. And I really, really loved the first book. I read it, I think in November, and it was phenomenal. So I'm super excited to give this one a try. And last but not least is Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross. This is the second book in the duology, the Divine Rivals duology. This is following Iris and Roman, and they are rivals, if you couldn't guess from the title. And essentially, these two worked at the same newspaper, and they were vying for a position. And they were vying for a columnist position, and they weren't sure who it was going to go to, so they were just kind of battling it out, bugging each other, but also simultaneously kind of loving this little rivalry and falling in love. And one day, Iris decides that she really needs to take her skills and go to the battlefield because there's this massive war that has broke out, to report on this war and what is going on, because in their world, this war is very far away. People are not concerned about it. They don't think it's going to end up on their doorstep, and they could not be any more wrong. And this is the second book in this. And again, I can't go too far into what this is about because I don't want to give anything away or spoil the first book. But this is the continuation in that duology. And that is it. That is all of the books that I want to get to at some point. I don't know when I'm going to get to all of these. That is a lot of books that were hauled. But I'm super excited about all of them. A lot of them are very spring-like, summer-like, fall-like. I'm definitely saving some of these for different times of the year, but I cannot wait to get to them because they all sound so phenomenal. A lot of feminist themes in this book haul, I've noticed. Apparently I'm in a feminist mood. Have any of you read any of these books? Are they good? Are they bad? Are they okay? Let me know. Maybe it will encourage me to push some of them ahead further, or maybe it'll encourage me to put them back a little ways and pick up some other ones first. Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you all have a lot of time to read today and have a great rest of the day.